Okay, let's work on lab 4 together. Before watching this video, make sure you have already tried those problems by yourself. Let's look at first question. So download the following file and unzip it in your hard disk. So I've already downloaded, okay, and unzip it, and you will get something like this one. So you will have a folder and 2 files. Here it says the files are extracted from current population survey. Yeah, so you can go to this website. So if you want to know more detail about this survey. So the data file is large, right? So it has 136 megabyte. And so then the next one is called a dictionary of variables. See if you open it, right? So it just contains all information about the dataset. So the data are arranged in columns. You can see for each of them. So you will have name of the variable. So that's the size of that. I mean the size of columns, and so also the location, right? This from column 1 to column 15, right? So for example, for this one, the length will be 2 columns. So starting from column 22 to column 23. Yeah, and so for each of the variable, it has a default name, and also has the meaning of that variable. So and also the meaning, I mean the meaning of the values. Yeah, so that's this one. You can also check the contents in the folder, and so they include a questionnaire and some other information. Okay, so question 1, read the following variable into SAS and create a subset containing individuals who fully completed either a computer-assisted telephone interview or a computer-assisted personal interview. So the hint code, I mean, corresponds to code of this HU final. See, if you want to look for some variable, you can just, I think usually, so we go to the top, you just use find, I think we want to search for this one, not this one. What we want to search is, see, here I list the name, right? HU final, so HU final, yeah. Where it is, here, see, this is the final outcome code. So those are all those possible values, and so here I just ask you to include either complete a computer-assisted I mean telephone interview or personal interview. Yeah, so corresponds to code 1 and 201. See, 1 means fully complete the CATI interview, and 2001, right? So CAPI complete. So let's just try to load the data. So first, you need to upload the data to your online cloud storage. I think I've already uploaded. Yeah, so this one. So then I will say proc import, not proc import. Yeah, so to read a column data, we need to use a data step. The data, so CPS, I want to call it. Okay, so then you will have in file, you specify the name of the file. If you right click the name and click property, so then you will get the location of this file. Then input statement, you just want to list those variable. Yeah, maybe let me see if I can copy paste those here. Yeah, because I've already tells you the tells you the beginning and ending columns, and so you don't need to count, so you can directly get that from this table. Yeah, I think so. There's several of them. Okay, because they are arranged in columns, right? So after the name of each variable, so you need to include the column for each of the variables. So the first one, this ID, right? So it starts from 1 to 15, I think, right? So then the second one, the final will be 24 to 26. So then will be this unit. Yeah, so then will be this INC, what that's income. Yes. Okay. Yeah, so I just copy paste, and just each name of the variable will be followed by the starting and ending columns. Let me put it here. Yeah, so each of one will be followed by the leading and ending columns. Of course, so here I also says we want either complete CATI or complete CAPI. Yeah, just corresponds to code is either 1 or 201. Notice for those, because in SAS, I mean the original data, so every information are coded by numbers. And so here, so I just include every variable as numerical variable. Yeah, so then I only include the starting and ending columns. So I didn't include any dollar sign. Yeah, because I want to load them as numerical. So then while HU final, so will be either 1 or 201. Run proc contents. Yeah, so why I use proc contents but not proc print? Because I know so this data will be huge, and so I do not want SAS to display everything. I just want to check those summary. 0, 0. What happened? Okay. No input data available from the while statement. File input. No input data set available for the while statement. What happened? This is strange. So I have the in file, I have input, I have where. Can I, if I use if, does it work? Yeah, so let's run it again. Okay. Yes, so seems from the raw data, so here we can only use if, and we cannot not use where. Yeah, so this is something new to me. Okay. Well, so you can see, so in total, so we have, this is the total number of observations. We have 130,000 observations, right? Yeah, and so we have 9 variables. Yeah, so those are just those 9 variables. B, create a dataset containing the contents, or containing the count of observations for each state. So which one will have information about the state? Let's see, state. This is school, sex, marital, state code. You can see. Let's check this variable. Let's check this variable. So see, this is census state code, and so it just use 2 numbers, right? So to indicate so each code. Yeah. So then we want a data set containing the count of observations for each code. For each state. Yeah. So just like we want to have a proc frac, the frequency table, right, for CPS. And so we get the table for the this variable we just checked. Okay, so run this one, SAS just get this table, right? So each row corresponds to one of the state. Yeah. So for example, so if you want to check for Alabama, so which one is Alabama? So which one is Alabama? AL, right? It's strange. So I don't know so how those numbers are arranged. Seems not in alphabetical order. Where's Alabama? There's no Alabama. Strange, huh? Ah, here. See, 63 is Alabama, right? Yeah, so for this data, 63, see, those are the number of subjects in Alabama. Yeah. I asked you to output a data set, right? So then I will say slash out equals, so put a name, so then I will say state count. Yeah, so then print data is state count, run it again. So the first one, so this is generated by the proc frag. Yeah, so the next one, so this is generated by the proc print of that new dataset. Then create a dataset contains the percent of females for each state. Yeah, so we have state, and so we also have female. Which one contains information of female, of gender, right? So see PE sex. So this variable will indicate the different state. So let me do it in this way. Proc frag, so data CPS table. So I think so I want to get PESEX, so want a table for gender, right? Yeah, but I want get that by each state. Yeah, so the state is this one. This is the name of the variable for state. If I want to get that for state, so then I need to sort the data by state first. By state, okay? So after that, so I want to print. So sorry, print. So the data is state sex. Let me run this part. Looks fine. So let's check the log window. No error message, right? See, we have a frequency for gender, so 1 and 2. Which one is 1? Then you need to check this one, because I'm asking females, right? Yeah, so this one is sex. 2 means females. Okay, you check the output, so 2 means females. Yeah, so those are just, see, you have a small table for each state in the end. So this is just the output, so generated by, I mean the data, so we generated, right? So we have the state, and so then we have gender, yeah, for each of them. And so we only want to contain females. So then in this data set, so then we need to modify it again. We want to create a subset of females. Proc state, not state, I mean create a new data set, right? So I want to call it state female, okay? And so in this one, so I only want to include females, and so set state sex. So this is the data set we are displaying, but we want to create a subset, so whose PE sex, so this variable only equals to 2. Yeah, so then we will say if PE sex is 2. Yeah, so then let's print data, print this data set again, run this one. You can see, so this only contains females, right? Yeah, so then we have the percent of females for each state. Create a dataset containing the percent of married observations for each state. I think so similar question, but we just use a different variable. Married observations, marital status. Yeah, so it should be this guy, this variable. So let's check this variable, marital status. Yeah, so for married, it seems we have two different values, right? Yeah, so one means spouse present, so one is spouse absent. Yeah, so 1 and 2, so corresponds to married. We just do something similar, right? So we first we can just do something similar. Okay, see this whole part. Maybe let me separate it. So this is the question. What is this one? So this is married. Yeah, so this is D. Question D. Question 1D. Right. So we sort by state. So then we show the display instead of gender, and so we want we want the table for marital status. Yeah, so here, so this should be marital status. So then we create a data. So this is called state marital. So then we want to show this one marital. So let's check this one. We have a table, right? See, for each of the state, and so the last one. So this is a table we created for each state and marital. And so then we will have count and percent, right? So for each of the level. And so here we want this variable, this marital status in either 1 or 2. Okay, right? Yeah, so either 1 or 2. The data set is we start from I think I misspell it. Yeah, so then I should use this one, marital. So then married, right? So then we just want to get a percent of married. See, so that's married. Percent of married. Create a dataset containing the percent of observations with bachelor's degree or above for each state. Hold on. This is not what we want for this question. See, we want the percent of married for each state, right? So since I still have two numbers, in fact, so these two numbers should be combined, right? Should be combined. So because this should be counted as one category. Yeah, so then this solution is not exactly correct. What we want to do? Well, so let's do it in this way. Well, because for marital status, right? So there are different values as what we can see here. In fact, now so we just interested in married, right? So this 1 and 2 should be created as one level or one group, and so the remaining levels, so they can be combined. So then I will do it in this way. I will say, so first I will create a CPS. I will create a new dataset from the original one. So then I define a variable called married, right? So this value will be 1 if the marital status, so if this value is either 1 or 2, right? So if it is married, so then the variable married will have value 1. Otherwise, the value will be 0. Okay, so then after that, then we just use the procedure we just discussed before. Okay, see, we sort the data. So now the data will be CPS1. So the table we want to create it will be married. So then married and married. So then we run it. See, the married, right? So this variable has 2 possible values. So either married or unmarried, or not currently married. Okay, so for those, those are a small table for each state, and so in the end, so this is the table for all state. I mean, this is the data created by the proc flag. So then for this one, we will do similar married. So then we will do married. So then we only pick married equal to 1, right? For here, so the input data and output data, we use the same variable, same name for the data set. So then essentially, so the output data will replace the existing data. So then you run this one. See, it only contains married equals 1, right? So this is the percentage of married observations in the data set. So for each state. So the next one, create a subset containing the percent of observations with a bachelor's degree or above. So now this will be similar. Question E will be similar to question D, right? So question, let's have this question E. Okay, so then we are working with education. So let's check this variable education. Education, right? So what we want is bachelor or above. And so here, so bachelor will be this one, right? And so in above, so master, professional, school, or maybe doctor. So means 43 or larger. Then look at here. Maybe I copy those everything. I just modify those slightly. I create a new data set, right? So now I want to define a variable called bachelor. So this one should be for this variable, this education. Why I cannot copy this? So for this education will be greater than or equal to 43. So then I sort this variable according to state, and so then I construct table for bachelor, and so the data set I created is bachelor, right? And so then I want to print this data set. So let me run this part. See, we have bachelors 0, 0 and 1, right? So for those, so this in the last, so this is the data generated by SAS. I mean by the proc flag. So then for the bachelor, so we just want to pick value. I mean those with value is 1. Bachelor. So those are just the percent of bachelors for each state. Okay. merge the above 4 data sets together. So the resulting data set containing only 5 variables. So we will have state and the count. So basic count is count of observations. We have female, we have female percent, married percent, and bachelor's percent. Okay. Count, I think we've already have count. See, for each of the table we have the gender. Sorry, not gender. So this is state code. So we have the state. Count, we have count, right? And but for the percent, because for each of the variable, I mean each of the data set, for example, like, because right now, so we want to merge these 4 data set together. Yeah, so let me show you here. First one is female, right? We have female, we have married, and we have bachelor. Yeah, so we have 3 data, right? We want to merge these 3 data together. So if you check those 3 data, you will see, so currently the common, they have variable this state. So definitely, so they should be merged by this variable, right? So according to the value of state, so we will merge them together. But for this percent, because each of them, this variable is called percent. Yeah, but we need to rename it, right? Yeah, so for example, see, this percent should be renamed as female, right? So this percent should be renamed as married, and so this percent should be named as bachelor. So then we will merge them together. So data, so I call it states, and so I will merge, so 4 data, right? So state, those count, so this is count for only for female. So we need a data for the state people, so in each state. Oh, I think so we have that. So we have something called state count. See, state count. So this is one first data we created. Yeah, state count. So that's just the count of observations, so in each state, so including I mean all observations. So now we want to merge those four of them together. Count, and we have the state female, and we have the state married, and we have the state bachelor, right? And so we will, the common variable, so in those data set, so will be this guy, this one. So this is the code for the state. Yeah, and in the end, so we want to rename so this variable as state. Okay. So notice as I explained, so for each of them, we do not need every observations, right? Yeah, because see, for example, for the code, I mean, for the first data set, we only want to keep this state and also this count. Yeah, so in here, so we only want to keep this state and count. And so for next one, for female, we only want to keep the variable, the state, and this percent. Yeah, so we want to keep this state and the percent. Additionally, for those percent, so we need to rename that to female. Yeah, so similarly for others. Here, this one we want to keep the state and the percent, and so percent. So this one will be renamed as married. And so similarly for the last one, the percent will be renamed as bachelor. Yeah, so run that. Let's print data equal to states and run. Oh, something wrong. What's variable percent is not in this data set. Oh, percent. I misspelled it as present. It should be percent. Percent. Okay, yeah, so let's try it again. You can see, so now we have the state, count, female, married, and bachelor, right? So then we have the code. So we have the count of observations in each department. We have also the percent of females, percent of married, and percent of bachelor in each department. Yeah, so that's the first question. In the second question, load the data in the following file into SAS using a data step with an in-file statement. So use print procedure to check whether you have read the data correctly. Make sure to use a proper format and print data in the form of month, day, and year. And so print salary in this dollar format. Let's check for the first one. So this is the data. Well, first you need to tell, okay, so when you check the data, you need to check how the value are prepared. Clearly you can see, definitely, so they are not separated by space, yeah, because for example, check here, right? See, because there's no space, so clearly we have one variable here, and so the other variable here. And see, notice that the variables are last name, first name, employee ID. So letter E followed by 4 digits. So this just means, see, from letter E followed by 4 digits. So this will be ID. After that, so that will be a pilot. Yeah, so pilot job code, right? So the date hired and the annual salary. Maybe we can copy here to here. I mean, so this is just one to make sure we are able to count those. We want to create a data, so I call it amp list. Okay, so in file here, because it is a web link, right? So then we need to a file statement, amp list, so URL. So I just copy the link for this file. Yeah, so then here in this in file, so I can just write amp list. Then we will have input. So here just gives you the name of those, right? Make sure to use a valid name. Yeah, so then I will say, so the last name, we will have first name, the ID, right? And so then we have the job code, the date hired, right? So we have hire, and so we have salary. Okay, run. So then you need to specify the width for each of those. Well, so there's no other way, you just count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So basically, you just make sure you count enough. So because so these whole things are just, I mean, those plays, I mean, belongs to the first variable or belongs to the second variable. Doesn't matter, right? Yeah, because as long as you can distinguish these two. So the first one, well, because I have counted before before that. So I will do so from column 1 to column 20 will be the first name, and so column 21 to 30 will be the first name. Notice, so here I have a dollar sign because so this will be read as character variables. Yeah, so the ID is also characters, right? So we want to add five characters. Yeah, so this will be 31 to 35. Okay. For job code is followed after that. So this is also characters, and so we have 36 to 43. Yeah, so then you need to count those columns for here, and so then I will not count here. Then followed by this one. So notice, so those should be formatted numbers, right? So you need to use a correct format to load it. So this should be DDYY8. Yeah, so tells us, see, 8 tells us to read eight columns, and so the format will be DDYY8. Then the last after that, so those will be salary, right? So we from 52 to 59. Okay. Yeah, so make sure to also ask you to print those format in appropriate, to print values in appropriate format, right? So then you need to use a format to specify the format. The hair, so the date should be DDYY10, okay? So the salary, so then we just use a large number, dollar, maybe 12.2. So then let me print data is empty list and run. Let's run it. Well, so you can compare this table so with the data. To me, so looks like loaded correctly. So it is loaded correctly. Okay. So then next one, employee 2. Okay, so this is a different one. Maybe first I write this guy first. Employee 2. Yeah, so I call it file 2. So this is employee 2. So what is this one? Oh, no, this file. Okay. Yeah, so this is here. So I copy it to here. The file. So we just have that data. Okay. Exercise 2. So then I just in file, there will be file 2, right? And then we will have input statement. According to this one, we have the employee ID, right? So then we will have ID, we will have a last name, we will have first name, we have job code, and salary. I will say, so it looks much similar as the previous one. So you just need to count those columns and to make sure so you load those columns correctly. But here, and I just want to, of course, so you can do something similar exactly as the first example. But here I just want to demonstrate different ways you can do it. For example, to instead of specify the range of the columns, so you can specify in format. For example, so ID. So here I just say 1 to 4. And also those one, because they are numbers, right? Last name, so you need to count those. So you will be $, so 5 to 17. Yeah, so the last name, you just count the column, so will be 18 to 30. And so the job code will be $31 to 36. Yeah, and so the salary, so notice, see, each of them, so they has 2 decimal places, right? So then I use 9.2. So for the format, yeah, so for salary, $12.2, right? So I just specify the appropriate format. Print equal to ex second exercise. So you run it. Yeah, so seems data are loaded correctly, right? Oh, in fact, I just want to demonstrate more ways for the first example. Okay. Yeah, I just want to demonstrate more ways to write the code. Okay. So this is data, right? So basically, so for the same one, I just want to write the specify those in a different way. You can see. So here, I just specify the starting and just specify those columns, starting and ending columns, right? So I can also use in format. See, for example, so here I will say 20 dot, right? So this is in format. So means see the length of the columns. The length of the characters will be 20, right? Yeah. So and input as character. So for example, so here I can write it as 10 dot, right? So this I can write as 5 dot. Yeah. So those are the in format. So the job code, so those are 8 dot. So this is already a format. So for the last one, yeah, so I write it as 8 dot because the length will be 8, right? And I read it as numerical. Yeah, so run this one. Looks fine. Okay, so check log window, no error. Yeah, so that's great. And so you can also load that in a different way. You can see because for the last name, so there is no space, right? And also the first name, no space. Well, so then you can just directly drop that, just tell SAS, well, so this will be read, until so SAS, read the value until so SAS read a space, and then SAS will know where to stop. Yeah, because the value are separated by space. But for this one, so you must need to tell SAS, yeah, because they are not separated by space, right? So then you need to start, jump to this E. Yeah, so this should be the column 31. So then you just use this at 31, tell SAS directly jump to this position, and so then read 5 characters. Okay, and so then after that, so read ask SAS to then continue to that. SAS will read the job code and read the hair and also read the salary. For salary, you can see, so they are not separated by space, right? So they're separated by space. Yeah, so in fact for salary, so this is also not needed. Yeah, because basically SAS just read until the end, or until SAS read a space. Yeah, so if you run that, so you will get exactly the same result. Okay. Yeah, so what I want to say here is just Basically, so there is no unique way to write the SAS code. Okay, yeah. So this is the first example. So here I just demonstrate two different ways to write the code. Question 3, we have this one. So this is the data. So let me copy this data to here. Okay. It is arranged in this way. See, flight date. Also, they are not arranged nicely because see, the first one will be flight, so then the date, so when the destination, right? So then the first class, the economy. So file name, we have file 3 and URL. I need to get the name for this link, data ex3, run pork print data is ex3 and run. So then I will write in file. So this is file 3 and input. Yeah, so those are just will be the name of so since the value are separated by tab, see, because see if you move your arrow, so it jumps, see this space much larger than one space, right? So means so those values essentially are separated by tab. See by tab, so then in this in file, so you need to specify the delimiter equals in the quotation mark you will write 0, 9 and followed by x. So this means they are read by value are separated by tab. Okay. What else? Oh, see, the first row so is name of the variable, right? So essentially, so you need to read start to read from the second row. Yeah. So first OBS. So this should be 2. So input, we have flight. Flight is just number. That's fine. So the next one, so this will be this date, right? So this you need to specify DDYY10. Yeah. So the proper format. Destination, so that that's characters, right? Yeah, so you need to add a $sign. First class economy, so they are numerical variables. Yeah, so they are fine. So you also need to specify format for this date. Yeah, DDYY10. See, here you specify the format. Here you also specify the format. Yeah, but the one in input, so this is called informat. Just specify how value are read. So format are used to specify how values are displayed. Yeah, so for example, so if I comment out this one, so see if you run this. See, SAS here just shows some large integers. This is because for SAS data are saved as integer, right? So if you want to display it as a date, so you need to specify a format. Yeah, so then you run it. So this is our format. Yeah, so you can compare this one with the information. They looks fine. Not looks fine. Not looks fine. So what's the difference? You can see the last one is 100 is here, right? See, notice this will be a kind of a missing value, right? And then after that, so will be 187. See, but since SAS read 187, then read the next value in the next line, this. So why this will happen? Yeah, because so there are two delimiter next to each other. Yeah, so make sure to add DSD option. Yeah, so because D option just tells us, so if there are two delimiters, so connected to each other, so SAS will treat that as a missing value. So right, why SAS show error? DSD. Okay. The chart. Oh, I think maybe this one. So usually, so we will add a semicolon, right? And not semicolon, a colon. Yeah, so this is a modifier, so it's usually needed. So when we want to read those separated, when the value separated by a delimiter. So now it looks nice. See, for this one, so this is a missing value. Yeah, so this column, right? So this modifier, yeah, so this is commonly, it is needed in most scenario. Okay. This is question 3, the 4. Let's check this one. So this is the data, right? Let's copy the name of this one. We will have file name. So then I call it file 4. Yeah, so URL, copy this name, data exercise 4 in file. So that will be file 4 input. So I will fill in that later. Run proc print data is exercise 4. Okay, so for this one, let me copy here, right? So the variables are flight numbers, so 3 digit. Yeah, so then we will have, I call it ID, right? So ID, so those are just value you can see, so there's no space, right? So no space in most places, and we just use, so the value are arranged in columns. Yeah, so ID will be from 1 to 3, and so then we have ID, right? So then we will have date. So date, so will be MMDDYY8. So this is the format. See what I highlighted, right? So 2 digits for months, 2 digits for day, and so 2 digits for year, plus this slash. So in total, so there are 8 characters. Date, then destination, $sign because they are characters. Yeah, so we'll have 3 characters. So from column 15 to column 17. Yeah, so then we will have first class, number of passengers in first class, number of passengers in economic class, right? So first class, we will have from 15, not 15, destination, so that's from 12 to 14. Yeah, so first class, so that's from 15 to 17. And so then we have economy. Yeah, so that will from column 18 to 20. Okay, so then for the date, so we need to specify format. Date will be MMDDYY10. Okay, so let's run this one. Well, so seems the data are loaded correctly, right? Yeah, so the data are loaded correctly. Okay. Question 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, yeah, I think I will stop here. For the remaining questions, so I will discuss that in a separate video.